Good morning, and today's reading is on 2 Thessalonians 2 verses 1 to 12. Now, for a little bit of context on this passage, it is talking mostly about the second coming of Christ. And at this stage, Paul was writing to the church in Thessalonica because there had been some confusion about when the second coming was. And for a lot of people, they were believing that it had already been and then not understanding why they hadn't been saved from the suffering that they were in. And Paul's saying here that it hasn't yet come. And if we look first at verse 6, where it says, "And now you know what is holding him back, so that he may be revealed at the proper time." And it's basically saying, they're talking about the man of lawlessness here, and the fact that he'll be revealed just before Christ comes again. And I'm just reminded here of how actually we don't know when the second coming will be, and there is a proper time for it. Only God knows when that is. And actually, there are so many people over the years, isn't there, who've tried to guess when that's going to be based on current events or what's going on in the world just generally. And actually, it's that reminder that it doesn't matter to us in lots of ways, does it? We're never going to know or guess until we're there, until we're actually at the time that this is going to happen. But actually, the most important thing is, are we prepared for it and are we ready for it? And actually not using the excuse of, oh, it's probably a way off, to sit idly and to not do what God is asking of us, and to not be alert and aware that it could happen in the next moment or the next day or the next week. We just don't know, do we? So it is that reminder again this morning, just not to sit idle and to see what God is asking of us in this moment, to have action this morning. Now, the second thing I took from this passage was, because it is talking a lot about the second coming and the fact that the man of lawlessness will be revealed and all the things that he is going to do and what that's going to look like, it can sound really scary. And my first thought was really one of fear, of looking at this passage and going, I'm actually afraid of what is going to happen. And then just as you continue to read, you remember, don't you, that actually we don't need to fear, we don't need to worry, because actually God has already won. And even though all of these things are going to happen, all of these things will be revealed, and even when it's saying things like some of the lawlessness, the power of lawlessness is already at work, I'm thinking of that and saying, well, what does that look like? How am I missing that? And obviously we don't always know what's happening already. But actually, again, it all doesn't matter, does it? Because God is in control, and God will allow it to be revealed at the right time. But actually Jesus is already powerful and has overthrown it. So the next verse to look at there was verse 8, where it says, "And then the lawless one will be revealed, whom the Lord Jesus will overthrow with the breath of his mouth and destroy by the splendour of his coming." And he literally will destroy the man of lawlessness with his breath and by coming. That's amazing, isn't it? Just that thought that actually it takes Jesus very little to overcome the work of the devil, and we don't need to be afraid and we don't need to fear. And I found that really encouraging today. And I think even in our everyday lives that can be encouraging, can't it, when we're facing things that feel overwhelming and we're facing things that just feel like we can't see God in it. We can remember that he's already won, and he will always already have won and already win. And I found that helpful today. And then the third part of the passage I just wanted to draw attention to today is where it talks about miracles, because it does talk about when the lawless one comes, that there will be counterfeit signs and miracles and wonders. And my first thought was, well, how are we going to tell the difference? How are we going to know which is the miracles of God and which are the miracles of the devil? And it does say, doesn't it, that it will be a powerful delusion. And actually, it is that reminder again of, well, why does God use miracles? Why does God use signs and wonders? And actually, they are something that draws us to God, aren't they? They draw attention to God. And actually, if they're not God who is doing these counterfeit signs and wonders and miracles, it will be the devil. They're going to have a different purpose. They're going to draw us away from God. So actually, in any situation, again, if there's lawlessness that might already be at work, it's good, isn't it, to ask God to reveal himself in what he's doing, but also to look at the purpose behind what we see. And actually, if there are miracles and signs and wonders that we see that don't seem to point to God, or just seem to point to a person or a different situation, actually we can question that, can't we? And we can take it back to God and challenge him with it and say, well, is this you, and what are you saying? And it's helpful to do that sometimes, isn't it? Because ultimately we are all still human as well, and not everything we see will be of God, and it's good to challenge that and bring that back to him. So I hope that's helpful this morning. I found that a bit of a challenging passage really initially, but there's some real encouragements in there. And actually, whereas I first saw this passage and felt quite afraid and fearful in lots of ways, actually I came out of reading it really encouraged today, and I hope you do the same. Thanks very much. Bye.